Yeah, it's been another positive season for me. Obviously, staying in the top 10, top 8 is a good achievement. I won a lot of matches this year. There's still plenty to learn and grow from, and plenty to improve, which I'll be looking at, and hopefully next year will be an even better version of myself.
You said during the tournament that you went to very, very dark places. Now that it's done, do you see the light?
Yeah, I mean, look, I had a little shift in perspective, and of course, like sitting here right now, I feel like I should have finished my Turin campaign having won 2 matches instead of 1, but you can't really change the past. You just gotta do your best to learn from it, get back up, and keep on heading forward, right? So that's ultimately the goal now. Obviously, I'm in a much better place, and I think today there was a lot of good stuff, and ultimately we just got to keep on improving. There's no other way.
Hi Alex, Simone Terno, Eurosport Italy. I don't want to sound cocky, but do you remember a set that you played better than the first one in your career today? Because to me it was almost your top level possible, and still not enough. I'm curious. I'm just curious.
I mean, that's a tough question to ask someone, because it kind of sounds like my best is not good enough in your eyes. And I have won sets against Jannik in the past. So, look, I'm going to say that, yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in that first set. I think one of the key elements was I dropped my percentage of first serve in the crucial stages, which allowed him to jump on top of me in that 5-all game, and he came up with some pretty good shots as well. So, look, I played him many times, and even though a lot of people may not think so, I know how to beat him. It's just not that easy to do, right? You got to hit the ball very hard, very flat, very deep, and very close to the line. So it is something that I try to do, but obviously it's not the easiest thing to do. And I do think for me to have genuine chances, I need to serve well throughout the whole match, and my serve dropped a little bit, and could have been better.
Well done today and all year. How motivated are you now? I mean, I know the season just finished, but looking ahead to 2026 and kind of closing that gap to, those 2 at the top.
Yeah, look, it's always the goal. As I said, I still think that I've got more to give, and I haven't hit my peak just yet. But I've also got to be careful with how much I push myself and how much pressure I put on myself, because that's what gets me into dark places, right? The desire to keep on improving and keep on wanting more and expecting more. So I've got to find a healthy balance, but as we've seen kind of the last 2 matches, I do have the ability to play with a higher pace and more aggressive style tennis. So I do think this is what needs to come out to be the best players in the world.
Alex, congrats on a great season. After the French Open, you said you're obviously mentally fatigued, you needed a reset, you know, burnt out. How important is it now, no Davis Cup coming up for you, just to take that extra week off and the next few weeks heading into the new season? How important is it for you to reset?
It is extremely important. Yeah, I've played a lot the last 5 or so years, and obviously Davis Cup has been always a huge priority in my calendar, and yeah, it's nice to have some time to switch off, and I'm going to need that, because obviously we saw this year how I went through a tough stage, and I don't want to do that in the biggest tournaments of the year. So for me to take the next step it's just being fresh, not putting as much pressure on myself, and ultimately just stepping up in the bigger tournaments. That's what it's going to take for me to jump from where I've been the last 2 years to potentially, you know, in the top 5 and pushing for bigger and better things.
Alex, any reason for its drop in serving percentage? I think it even dropped to about in the 50s at one stage. And with your career and the people that you've played, I know you've played Jannik the most probably, but when you is he the toughest for you when you compare playing Alcaraz and Novak and Roger and Rafa and all that?
I think one of the things that makes it very difficult against Jannik is his return of serve, right? That's one of the biggest things for me, is that if I'm not serving really well, then I'm in trouble. If I'm missing a lot of first serves and I'm starting points with second serves, that's when I'm kind of behind in the rally. Against other players, I can maneuver that from time to time, but of course you've got that, and then the pace of ball, right? That's the biggest thing, that when you are in baseline exchanges, his pace of ball is very large, and it's got a lot of revolutions from both the forehand and the backhand side, and it's a lot easier to dictate play if you're landing first serves, right? That's the biggest thing, and it just got to a point where maybe I was trying to overserve a little bit, because I felt like he was getting on top of my serve, so maybe I started to push a little bit more and lost a little bit of rhythm. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm going in the right track. I think the level of that first set was very good. I had my chances. I had a love 40 early in that set that could have given me a little bit of buffer, and who knows what could have happened. But hey, back to the drawing board, and yeah, time to bring on a new season.
Would you actually comparing him to the others?
Yeah, I do think there's more constant pressure. That's the biggest thing with Jannik. You know, more often than not, I feel like with Jannik that you can get into a bit of a snowball effect, and you know, after one break, the second break comes, and all of a sudden you're doing your best to fight off potentially a bagel or 6-1, and that's mainly due to how well he's returning and his serving at the moment. His serving under duress in big points has been exceptional, and I think I'm probably not the first player this week to talk about that, but that's been very impressive by him.
Ciao. Congrats, first of all, for reaching the semifinals, and I think also the best ranking. You both progressed a lot. I mean, in my opinion, in the last 2 years, you both playing much better. The results don't change too much, so I'm asking, what has been the biggest improvement of Sinner from your point of view, if he hasn't lost, for instance, in this whole tournament, He served 39 times, 39, and never lost a game on his serve. While against you, he had either break point or deuce every game but two, one in the first set and one in the second. The problem, in my opinion, was that your percentage of first serve was only 52%. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, again, Jannik is a little bit taller than me, has a little bit more length, which helps him on serve, and obviously he's been serving at a very high level, not only today but the whole match. As for me, my serve is something that's been a work in progress, and over the years it definitely has gotten a lot better, and it's finding that balance, because he's obviously, you know, he's 2 at the moment, but he's played pretty well for a couple of years, and he's been incredibly solid, right? So it means that I can't just make first serves against Jannik, right? I can't put my percentage up, serve at 75, 80%, but just rolling it in, right? I need to hit my spots and go after my serves. And yeah, I served a lot better in the first set than I did in the second, and that's probably the difference in the 2 sets. And obviously I had love 40 early in the tiebreak, in the set, and he gave me a look at a second serve. He hit 2 good first serves, but I had a look at a second serve, and potentially that was my chance to take. But we're talking about one of the best players in the world, and his level is insanely high, so you're going to have to bring a very high level to beat him. So for me, as I said, the only way forward is to keep trying to improve those things, and the serve is one of the biggest things, because returning, I'm normally going to give myself chances. I back myself on returns, and then I just need to do a little bit better job on my serve.